Well, hey, Matt. How are you doing? This is episode 6 of our podcast.
Good to see you, Jordan.
Yeah.
Another great and wonderful day.
It is no longer an unnamed podcast.
No, it's not.
Our new title from unanimous vote is now Matt and Jordan in the morning. Dang. Okay, that worked really well. We did not practice that at all. I was surprised. Oh, sorry about that. We probably... I'll dampen that. Oh, boy. But yeah, we're Matt and Jordan in the morning. Just having fun. If you don't know that reference, that's okay. If you do know that's reference, tell us in the comments.
You're awesome.
Yeah, and you're awesome. Leave us a like for sure. But what are we going to be doing today, Matt? What are we doing?
Man, we're just continuing a great conversation time. We'll be, as we start every episode off with a top question of the week. And this week's question is, how do we have a quiet time? And before we really discuss that, Jordan, can you tell us what a quiet time is? And when I say that, what does that mean in Christianese?
Yeah, in Christianese, I like that. Man, a quiet time for me, because I think a quiet time is different for a lot of people, but a quiet time for me is literally a time that I can get away, have things quiet around me, and then take that time and spend it with the Lord. That could be either in prayer, where I just spend a good 10 to an hour in prayer. That could be reading the Word, reading the Bible, whether that's on like a book that's actually right in front of me, the Bible right in front of me, or on my phone. Or it could be listening to music, some good uplifting worshipful music. Those are all been ways that I've experienced a quiet time, but I think in the kind of Christianese sense, it's just spending time with God. You have designated that there is a specific point of your day that you are going to solely focus on what He has for you that day. Whether, like I said, that's through prayer, reading, or worship, whatever that looks like. But quiet time, I'd say, is that.
Good. Yeah, no, I think you're spot on, and you already kind of begin to breach into. So how do we have it? I mean, quiet time is simply time with God. Mm-hmm. And now, so how do we have it? And you've touched on a bunch of different ones already. You want to elaborate on any of those?
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump the gun there a little bit.
He likes this topic.
I got to do one earlier today, happily enough.
Well, praise Jesus.
But no, so quiet times, how we have them?
How do we have a quiet time? For those who don't know what a quiet time is, or I want to have it, but I don't know what I do. Do I have to be quiet the whole time? I mean, what does it look like and how do I do it?
Yeah, I think the starting point for a quiet time is just, it feels weird to say that you have to like mentally think about this, but just like find out an actual time. Mm-hmm. Make sure that there's a dedicated spot where you can, not like a physical spot, but a time in your day that you're going to spend doing this. I know for me, for a while, quiet time was my drives to work that day. I would have like a 15 minute drive to wherever I'm going, and I'd say, okay, I'm going to have the radio completely off, and I'm just going to spend that next 15 to 20 minutes praying and just kind of talking with God. Don't worry, I'd kept my eyes open the whole time. But I would just decide, you know what, this is going to be the time that I'm going to set aside specifically for Him. And I think that's really step one when it comes down to figuring out what a quiet time is and how do we do it. It's just figuring out when you're going to start it. When is that time going to be? Because the key to a quiet time is find a time that's reoccurring. Find a time that you can do that over and over again. Like, I'm always going to be driving to my job at least 5 times a week. So that was always a reoccurring time that I knew that I would have, that I could dedicate that to Him.
And that's really good because there's so much in our daily lives that if we don't set time aside, it's easy to lose it. It's easy to just skip over it or miss it. or forget about it. So I think you hit it right on the head of having a reoccurring time that we can do and just set a time aside. Don't, well, I'll get to it when I get to it, because we all know whenever you put on that I'll get to it when I get to it list, let's be honest, it never gets done.
Exactly. It's like I'm gonna get to cleaning the garage at some point.
Yeah, you're right.
Like you keep saying that. Of course I'm gonna. Yeah, no. I look at the clutter. Yes, it's dirty. Yes, at some point I'm gonna clean that. It's like 2-3 months from the time that you first say that actually happens. You need to figure out this is a time that I can do this, and don't feel like it has to be super long. Like you don't need to have an hour, a 2-3 hour long quiet time. If you want that and you have the time for it, then
that's awesome. Yeah.
Go for it. Yeah, I've spent entire days where I'm just dedicating that day to God. But 5 minutes, just brushing your teeth. That 2 minutes of brushing your teeth. That if that's all the time that you have, then use that time with the Lord. So I would say next on top of that is once you figure out the time, what are you going to do with that time? I know that I touched on it a little bit, but sometimes it mostly consists of that prayer, listening to worshipful music, or reading the Bible. Can I ask you, Matt, which ones do you typically do during your quiet time?
Man, so throughout my life, I've done a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I've read the Bible, I've read other Christian books. The big one that to me that I always have to have is prayer. I always have to have some time where I'm praying to God and I'm listening to God. That's one that I have to have.
Yeah.
I'll listen to music and worship sometimes. I'll read the Bible sometimes, and I'll read a book sometimes. But the one guarantee is always prayer. How about yourself?
Yeah, I would say for me, definitely prayer. But I guess, and to make sure that I'm not just saying the Christianese version of prayer, whenever I think of prayer, I just think of that being, I'm talking to God. And it's not like I'm coming to him with prayer requests with my knees on the ground, with my head bowed, my eyes closed, saying, hey, God, can you help me with this? This is like, hey, God, how you doing? I'm opening up a conversation with you as if I would a good friend of mine. Just like, how are you doing? Hey, can I tell you that this is going on in my life? I think very rarely towards the very end of a single time like that I'll start to, hey, God, can you help? I'll ask thee, hey, God, can you help me with this? But most of it is, hey, this is just what's going on in my life. I know that you know this, but I like to talk, and I kind of want to get stuff, I want to mentally talk it out, and talking it with God is a very special thing that I've always enjoyed. So that's usually how I always will start a quiet time, is in the middle of that. And then I will do my best to hit up Scripture. I love Scripture. One of the things that could be really easy for anybody who's just starting to figure out what a quiet time is I know almost everybody has a smart device of some sort. Almost everybody has a iPhone or an Android or something like that. Feel free to download the Bible app, the thing that everybody talks about. It's the YouVersion Bible app. If you just go to the whatever app store you got, just search Bible, and it's most likely the very first one. And one of the things that I've started doing lately is they have these daily updates.
Devotions.
Yeah, and devotions that they have specific devotions that you can look for on there, but then they also have a kind of smaller bite size, maybe like around 5 to 10 minute devotion that gets uploaded every day, and that's just designated to the verse of the day that the Bible app picks. Like if I were to look at it, the verse of the day today was Colossians 3:23 through 24. And whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord, not for men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive inheritance as your reward. You are serving the Lord Christ. And then they have a this is what this time will look like. They even have a little video from a pastor or somewhere in the world sharing what their thoughts are on that scripture. And then like hey, this is what you can probably pray for after this time. And I've just started doing that, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to give that a shot. I want to see what that has to do, because those are just little small bite-size quiet times where it's like, I'm going to spend the next 5 to 10 minutes just looking at what this verse is, what it means, and what it means to other people.
And that's a great tool, because I know you can do that by yourself. I know at our church we also use it, and we have multiple people going through that. Mm-hmm. What I really like about that is when you do it with some other people, is there's always a prompt at the end of it, mm-hmm. and you're supposed to share an insight or answer a question at the end. And so everyone, as they go throughout the day, as they have their quiet time and they go through that, they'll answer that. And you get to see what other people are doing and what other people thought about it. And it's really cool because you get to see the different views, the different insights. It's amazing to see how God is saying the same thing to multiple people, and yet it's impacting them in different ways. Mm-hmm. Man, the Bible app is a great one. Like you said about just the Bible. I mean, one of my favorite ones is to do the proverb of the day. Mm-hmm. And whatever the date is, wake up and you go through that chapter of Proverbs. Yeah. And man, because you go through Proverbs, and man, there's always something there that you can take something away from for that day.
And even if you're reading that same chapter 5 times in a row, there's still always something that'll sneak out to you, or that'll hit you at this point on this day because something is going on.
Yeah, so today's, I believe, the 9th, and so if I were to read Proverbs 9 today, verse 9 might be the one that stands out to me today. Mm-hmm. And then next month in July, I could read chapter 9 again, and it could be verse 14 that stood out to me, just because, mm-hmm. you know, God's word is living, and at different seasons in our life, different things get highlighted. And it's amazing just to see how God does talk to us through the scriptures, just for those specific days and those seasons of our life.
Yeah. So I guess to kind of start to wrap it up, like, the goal and purpose of a quiet time is to have those interactions with God, to have those moments where you can feel like there's a sense of clarity coming from situations that are going on. Like for myself, when it comes down to a difficult time, opening up to a quiet time of like, hey, I just want to sit down and talk with God about what's going on, will lead to, at the end of it, I will feel like some weight has been lifted off of me, because I don't feel like I have to carry all those burdens on my own. All of the struggles that I feel like I'm going to, I'm saying, here, God, I'm going to submit those to you, and I'm going to ask you to help me take care of them. And the only way to start that is by finding that quiet time, to really finding that time that you can spend. And wouldn't you want more of those days? Not just whenever things are really bad.
But even on the good days, yeah.
Yeah, but even on the good days of saying, like, praise God, hallelujah, I made it. I had a great day. I got good tips. And it's been a lovely day. And just thanking God, thank you for this amazing day. Thank you for giving me the lungs and the breath in my lungs so that I can still be here.
For some of our seniors that might have just graduated, they're waking up and they're saying, thank you, God, I don't have school today.
Exactly.
I'm done. And so, I mean, like you said, just any of those things. Mm-hmm. And it really, I think, like we both identify, it's a very personal thing. There is no right or wrong way to do it. The main thing is setting that time aside to be with God, and being active in that time with God, not saying, okay, I'm going to be with God today, and then you're on your phone, checking up on Facebook or social media, but it was time spent with God. No, you want to be engaged in that time. That's why we're talking about praying or reading the scriptures or worshiping, man. I know one thing I really enjoy doing, I would wake up, and then I'd play 1 or 2 worship songs to kind of get me focused. Yeah. And then I'd go into my prayer time and then my Bible study time. Mm-hmm. Because everyone's
doing a mini church service there.
Yeah, like a mini church service, and we're all wired differently. So, like, music to me, man, I like it, but it's not something that I love. Mm. I'm not a big, worship through music person. I prefer worship through prayer. Mm. So for me, there's that. I've known a lot of people that are really in tune with just worship and singing, and man, you can do that for 30 minutes. I think that that's fine too. It's just very much geared towards how do you want to spend time with God, and then like you said, that reoccurring time. And man, what I know, and I thought this was cliche as I grew up, and the older I get, the more I think no, it's logical. It's the smart choice. Man, it's best I think to do it as early as you can in the day.
Yeah.
Because it is so easy for your day to get away from you that, if you say, oh, I'm going to do it after school, or if I'm going to do it during my lunch hour, or there's these times later in the day where like, oh, I'm going to do it then. And I've done it. I know that I've been able to do it. I've been able to say I'm going to do it in between when I was in college. I would do it between my 1 and 2 o'clock classes. I was able to do it. But man, it was hard. I find it a lot easier doing it in the morning when you first wake up, maybe during your shower, maybe whatever. Just, again, doing it as soon as you can. Because then that, I think, sets you up for success the rest of the day.
Exactly. It immediately gets you into the mindset of, oh boy, just another day, and now I have to go to work, and I have to do all this stuff today, and I have to be productive, to, man, I'm so happy that I'm still here. Praise God, I still have this job. I'm still able to do these things. I have a roof over my head. And it just puts you into the mood of thankfulness. And hopefully gives you that clarity at the beginning of the day to be like, I know what I need to do today. I know how I can best use the gifts and abilities that God has given me to share with other people what's going on in my life. Starting at the beginning of the day is crucial. That's what I've been trying to do. And I've been doing a poor job, I'll be honest, on starting at the beginning of the day, mostly because my days start immediately when I wake up. So it's kind of hard to get away. But definitely, if you can, do it in the morning, in the shower. You don't need to. It's okay. Don't pull out the Bible app while you're in the shower. I don't know.
Some you have an OtterBox, man. That's not a problem.
It's true. I think my phone is water resistant, but I still don't want to get water all over.
Amen.
Because then it's gonna get water up into the speakers. Because I've done that a couple of times. I've tried to play music in the shower. It's not a good play.
So, I mean, so if you're listening and you have any questions, or if you want any tools, I mean, we've already told you about the Bible app, about using the Bible itself, worship music. If you need any more help, leave a comment, leave a question. We'll be happy to help you. If you don't go to Solid Rock Church, and you're just tuning in today, we appreciate it. But then talk to your youth pastor and ask him or her, hey, how would you recommend I get into it? Because we're just talking very generally. Again, it's super your quiet time is a super personal thing, and there are so many ways you can do it. If you need more instruction, if you need more assistance, Jordan and I are always available. But otherwise, man, talk to your friends. See what's working for them. Because again, what might work for others might not work for you, but it also might work for you. And so, the only way is by having these conversations.
Yeah. Awesome. I think that's great, Matt. Well, let's go ahead and move it on into our
Story time.
Story time. Okay, Matt. Well, we're going to do our next segment of the podcast, which is story time. This is where we just give a story of our lives, something that's going on. Sometimes it has to do with ministry. Sometimes it has to do with us whenever we were kids in the ministry. Other times it just has to do with what's going on in our lives and what we're doing about it. I think I'm going to be starting off today. Is that right?
If you'd like to, absolutely.
Sure. I mean, I think I may be a little bit on the heavier side. So Matt usually comes with a little more exciting things.
I just, I like to keep it loose and breezy.
If you could see the look on my face when I heard Matt say, "Oh boy, I live with that gentleman." Okay, and we're roommates. So
lots of clarifiers today.
Lots of clarifiers. Okay, on that note, I want to talk about some good friends of mine. Man, Matt, there's a lot of stuff going on. I know that by the time that this episode comes out, it'll probably be a few weeks after said events have been going on. But right now, we've been in the middle of a pandemic, as everybody knows. But we're also in the middle of lots of protests, some rioting, but mostly just a lot of protesting against racism. And the if you didn't know, if you don't look at the news, there was a gentleman who had gotten murdered while in police custody, and then that inspired a black man named George Floyd had got murdered, and then that had inspired a lot of people to start standing up against racism, as these cops had just hurt this gentleman really bad, and murdered him. But the reason why I'm bringing this all up is I had a friend of mine. So every single Monday night lately, at first it was Thursdays, and then it was Fridays, but now it's Mondays. Every Monday night, me and two other guys of mine that are really close friends, we get together and just have a game night.
Because every guy needs one of those.
Every guy needs and it's a night where we tell all of our significant others, hey, this is our game night. We are going to play from probably like 8 or 9 o'clock at night till midnight, 1 a.m. And can we just have that time to just us guys? Those two are fortunate enough to be married. I am not, but I still have a girlfriend, so I want to let her know, hey, I can't spend time with you tonight. So every single Monday night we have a game night, and it's been really fun. It's been a really big blessing for all of us. And it's been a really just powerful tool that each and every one of us have gotten to use. It's kind of also an accountability time and just checking in on us time, which is just really good to have. So the reason why I'm bringing that up is, the other night, the other Monday ago, I had a friend of mine. He was struggling just with everything that's going on in the world right now. And he started breaking down about what's been going on. He kind of shared his thoughts about where the racism is coming from, why it's continuing, and how scared he is. He is a father who has a very young kid. I think his kid is turning 2 in July, if I'm not mistaken. So very new father. He was just recently married too, so he's going into a marriage and a kid, and it's just all happening while I think he's still 25 or so still young and still trying to figure everything out. But man, he just started to break down about how scared he is, just about everything going on, about how he's a father and he now understands what that separation of a father and son, that feeling looks like. And seeing the gentleman George Floyd get murdered in his head, thinking, oh man, there's a father that just lost his son. And my friend thinking, oh man, what if someday I lose my son because of something like that. Tyler is not white, so it's it's always possible for any of us, but those are the things that he fears. And man, what happened that night was I just really needed to sit down and listen. There's going to be a lot of moments where there's going to be kids, youth, students, adults, anybody that's going to be in your life that's going to be going through and struggling with the world and what's going on in it. And then there's going to be a lot of hurt that comes with it. He was feeling a lot of pain and just not knowing what the world is going to be like and how he's going to raise a son in the middle of all of this. And was it even a good idea for me to bring a son into all of this? Was what he was feeling. And I don't have a son. I'm not a father. I'm not even a husband. So all I got to do in that moment is really just, I need to be an ear. I just got to listen. There's moments where we're not going to be able to have those shared moments of, hey, I know exactly what you're feeling, because I can't say I know what you're feeling. I really can't because I don't know. But man, I feel like for me as a white male, I just got to sit down and listen. I need to figure out where people are coming from and why they're feeling these ways, and then know how to love on them even more and how to go forward, just caring for them. So I guess I kind of just wanted to share that today, of just one, giving y'all an update about what's just going on in my life, a little bit about what's going on in the world as we're recording this, but just what I'm trying to do in the middle of it all is just kind of sit down and listen, just make sure that I'm giving people an opportunity to share what's going on in the world. And then the big key is at some point that listening needs to turn into action. And then for myself, action for me has, I need to take this to the Lord. I need to have a quiet time. I need to pray about these things. I need to make sure that He can better equip me to be able to go out and to help these people. How do I learn of the different perspectives in this world? How do I know what it's like to have a son and be a husband? Well, maybe I just need to learn from other sons and fathers and husbands on what that. So that's what I've been doing actually the past week, is I've been listening to a lot more people. I'm just trying to figure out what are their thoughts, what are their views as a son, as a father, as a Christian. What are they doing in the middle of all this? So yeah, I don't know. I just kind of wanted to share that. Nothing really big grandeur or really a story behind it.
But you never know. And what you share in your story is you listened.
Yeah.
So, and every one of us needs someone in our lives where we can go to, where we can vent, where we can share something in a safe place where we know that we can be open and genuine and honest. Mm-hmm. And no matter how ugly, how nasty, no matter what we express, that there's someone there that can say, I can take that and I love you anyway. Yeah. And who's able to just encourage them and be there in that moment. Mm-hmm. And you did that well. I know that your friend really appreciates it, and I think that's good because, especially as guys, we're problem solvers. We want to fix things. Well, sometimes fixing something means not doing anything. And in this case, like you're saying, there's going to be an action that has to come from this at some point. But in your case with your friend, the action was just listening. Mm-hmm. And just being there for him.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good lesson for us, is to listen, to be able to be there with someone, to be able to be that shoulder to cry on, mm-hmm. and to be able to be vulnerable with people. I know this has happened a little bit a few weeks ago. So, how have you been able to follow up with him at all, or been able to talk to him more about this?
Well, we had another game night scheduled, but then it got rescheduled. So this happened last week, last Monday. It's Tuesday, the week after that we were recording this. I think the text message that I got right before this was that he may be free tonight, so we're probably going to get in touch some more. But no, I really haven't had a chance. I will say that in the middle of it all, I also wanted to stress, I really didn't know what to say. I really didn't know what to do, and I too I need to figure out how to solve this, because I can't have my friend that I love dearly going
hurting
through these stuff and hurting. Like, what's the right word to say here? What's that nugget, that quote, that scripture that I can say right here to give him rest and ease? And I just didn't know what it was, and that's why I just said, okay, I think this is God just saying, you just need to sit here and listen. Don't worry about trying to solve things. You don't need to try and solve things. And that's probably a lesson I really need to learn.
Nice.
So.
Well, appreciate it, man. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. So that's a little bit of my life. I think you have a story, but it's about you whenever you were a little bit younger.
A little bit younger, yeah. Back when I was a youth. So I'm going to share an action or a story today, a little bit about doing.
Okay.
And it's going to be a little bit a roundabout, so bear with me.
Okay.
When I was in high school, my youth group, my church consisted of a church and a school, and we had a couple of blocks downtown in El Paso. And so we worked there, but there was another family that attended our church, and they kind of monitored and took care of a church building facility. it was kind of like, if you were in need of something, you could come and hang out, and they would sometimes have church services. So it was kind of like a part-time church, part-time, place you could stay in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And so the parents from this church, or that attended our church, asked, could anyone help? And so my youth group went out, and we went and helped. And basically what it was helping it get kind of started, getting to clean it up, because the property had been purchased, and it was just kind of in shambles. And so
Yeah.
it just needed some cleaning up, some reorganizing. And so I don't remember, there's probably about 15 or 20 of us out there on a Saturday morning to afternoon, just cleaning stuff up, reorganizing things. Man, I mean, we were doing some minor construction in the building, like removing trims and stuff like that. We were moving big old things. I remembered that. I think there was this one giant trunk that we had to move, and it was a lot of just haphazard moving around and doing. And like I said, there was about 15, 20 of us that went to our youth group. They fed us lunch. We came in the afternoon, and in that, we were just partnering up with someone that needed some help, that was saying, man, I just need some manpower. Can you do that? And as youth, we were short of brains, but we had lots of abilities, lots of energy.
Yes.
And we were able to, mostly do everything safely. I remember one incident where we picked up something a little too heavy that almost got dropped on someone.
I'm glad that didn't happen.
Me too.
It'd be a different story.
Well, kind of. I thought it was funny because even at the end of it, it was interesting because as a group of individuals who, yes, we all go to this youth group. I mean, we had boys, we had girls, we had homeschoolers, we had kids from different not youth groups, but different high schools, all come together and work together. We had goobers, we had people that were straight-laced, we had just a variety of people come out for the same goal of helping this family. And it was really cool to see work. It also, and man, it was interesting because besides the work, there was at least one fun moment I vividly recall because it just stood out to me because as we leave, so in high school at this point, I don't have a driver's license. My younger brother doesn't have a license. Mm. So we got a ride home with one of my friends, James. He drove us there, or our parents dropped us off, and he drove us back. And as we're pulling up to this light turns yellow, red, and the car right in front of us was a girl from our youth group who I knew a little bit. And I'm in this truck with my friend James. And as it turns red and she stops and he stops, he goes, "I'm doing it." Yeah, Jordan's face right now says a lot because both Ian and I whip our heads around like, this can't be good because my friend James was a character. Okay. He's one of the particular goobers I was mentioning earlier. And so he puts his car in park and he grabs his water bottle, big old water bottle, and he runs out to her car and acts like he's walking across the street, bumps into her car, and splashes water all across the windshield and the front of the car. And she's just sitting there because we're in the car and we just see her hands waving and being like, "What the heck, man?"
Yeah.
And he's just like, "Ugh." And then after he gets hit, which he does, and he bumps into her, he stands up and acts kind of mad for a second, and then he waddles / runs back to the truck, gets back into the car, puts it in a drive, and right at that time the light turns green, and
that
so
was a long line.
it was just like, what the heck? And it really, to me, what it highlights in that moment is we come together and we work together. We need to do things together, and when we do come together, we can make a big difference. I mean, this building got a complete overhaul in just a few hours of about 20 people working on it. And it was hard work. It was sweaty. It was not fun. Afterward, we're all a little closer to each other to where even my friend James is able to do this. And my brother and I mean, we just laughed. And it's going through life means we do stuff together. And that doing sometimes is helping out other people. Sometimes it's laughing with one another. Sometimes it's just listening, like in your story. But going through life is messy. You know, working on that building, man, I don't remember how many times I got cut up and stuff just because I was one of the bigger guys, and so I was doing a lot of the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
And I don't care. So it's like, whatever. And so if I got cut or anything, it doesn't matter because I'm there to do the best I can and to help however I can. We get to laugh. We get to just go through these things. We get to be a part of Goober's lives.
Exactly. Yeah, I think in the stint that I've gotten to see in service projects, whenever everybody is just sweating, people are getting minor injuries from how hard they're working. Man, that ends up just bringing out some fun and just some life and really good bonding.
Some camaraderie.
Yes, there's something special about a youth group coming together, fixing up a house, painting a fence, cleaning a garage, something, and then at the end of the day, they can stand back and look at what they did and say, "Hey, we together were able to accomplish this." And then as a youth pastor taking that, yeah, you together can do that. Now think if you guys together could go out and change the world this way.
And it's always possible.
And showing that if they can do that, then trust me, you can do so much more. There's some really special times that come in those, even whenever it's not fun at all.
Oh, absolutely.
Even when you're like, I don't want to touch a single thing. I don't want to lift anymore, because I've been doing that for 6 hours straight. But man, no, there's some really good, fun times that can come from that. And great camaraderie, like you said.
And it's going through life together.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that, Matt. So let's move on to the next one.
Choose it or lose it.
Well, hey, everybody. We are doing Choose It or Lose It now. We've got some Choose It's or Lose It's. Basically just means Matt and I will bring some topical topics and give our hot takes over...
Our hot and spicy point of views of, whether we would choose it, accept it, yes it, whatever it, or lose it, where we're just saying not having it, not going to touch that, avoiding that.
Please get away from me.
Yeah.
Never want I see it again.
Exactly. And so today we're going to be having Jordan start off. He'll be posing the first one. We usually do several each, and so I'm looking forward to. Yeah. You always come up with some good spicy ones.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I'll start it off, man. This is not spicy at all. This is actually pretty sweet.
Oh, okay.
And I would like to know, and this is very big, everybody talks about this, of course, but I just want to know, what is your hot, sweet take on pineapples on pizza?
Oh, man, controversial from the start.
Yeah, and trust me, in the youth group that he works with, they like some weird pizzas.
I work with, you work in it too.
Well, yes, I'm here too. This is the youth group that doesn't choose pepperoni, as
the primary.
Exactly, they'll take one thing of pepperoni, but they would rather have sausage or cheese or other fantastic thing. That's just crazy to me. That's crazy to me. But I would just want to know, what are your takes? Pineapple on pizza. Are you choosing it or losing it?
Man, I am choosing it. I love pineapple on pizza. In fact, I really enjoy ham, black olives, and pineapple is one of my favorites. I particularly enjoy. But, man, I love pineapple. And so I like the saltiness of the cheese and the sweetness of the pineapple, and especially if you get a good meat with that, I think it creates a great taste.
Matt, I need to introduce you to the Pepperoni Diplomacy Act. And it is an act that, once forced or willing to sign, you therefore choose for every occasion going forward where pizza is being bought, you will always buy more pepperoni than anything else. Because everybody knows whenever you have those events, the first thing that gets completely taken away is pepperoni. And then you're left with the pineapple pizzas, the supreme pizzas, all those extra ones. Pepperoni's always the first one to go. So why not just make it be the one thing that we bring? Which is why I'm losing it. I'm losing pineapple on pizza. I don't like it. And I've tried it. Don't say I have. You haven't tried it, Jordan. No, I've tried it. It's not great. I prefer my pizza to always be savory. I never really want any sweetness going into it. Maybe if there's like some barbecue sauce or like honey barbecue,
Which goes great with pineapple.
It goes great with some good pepperoni and jalapeno pizza, that's for sure. But no, I'm losing pineapple on pizza. It's never been. I like pineapple, but I don't want it on my pizza. Don't put it on it. I want to get rid of it. Bye bye. Burn it.
Well, fair enough. I'll have to introduce you to my grilled pineapple.
Oh, okay. Well, what do you got for me, man?
All right, so we're gonna be staying with sweet.
Okay.
But see, Jordan is the mastermind of this whole Matt and Jordan in the morning. I'm just the good looks, which is why it's a podcast. And so today I'm throwing him a curveball because he likes to throw me some. So I'm asking you to choose it or lose it, but with a twist.
Right, yeah.
On this, we're going to be talking about donut shops.
Okay.
Because everyone likes donuts.
Yes, that is true.
And so what I want you to do for me is I want you to tell me the one you will always choose, the donut shop you will always choose, and the donut shop you will always lose.
Okay. Well, Matt, so if I gotta start off with this question, just a clarifying question. When we're talking about donut shops, am I going in just to buy donuts?
Yes.
Okay, because
we're not talking about the kolaches.
I'm a big
donuts.
kolache fan. I just wanted to double check.
No, don't worry.
That's that would sway my answers. But
no, we're just focusing on the donut.
On the donuts. Okay, then I will always choose Krispy Kreme donuts.
Okay.
Always. So this comes from history. Whenever I used to live in North Carolina for a short stint, whenever I was from 3 to 6 years old. And while we were in North Carolina, one places that we always stopped at was Krispy Kreme's. And it'd be like on Sunday morning when we're heading off to church, or just when my mom just wants to treat us to something special, she'll bring home some Krispy Kreme's. And boy, golly, and this was one of the Krispy Kreme's that you can go inside and you can see them making the whole thing.
Okay, yeah.
So you have like the whole window and you're seeing them, the donuts get glazed through the little whatever curtain of glaze that they have going on. And then when you see that one donut that's going through and then that ends up being the one that the lady picks up and hands to you, you're just like, ooh, there's like this connection that you have with that donut. And I can't wait to eat it. So Krispy Kreme's, I will always choose that. And now, a lot of people aren't going to like me for this.
Just say it, man. Just say it.
I don't like Shipley's donuts.
Okay.
I like it. I will eat it. But if I could never eat at Shipley's donuts, I would totally be fine with that. If they disappeared one day, I'd totally be fine with that. Now, I don't want to burn it to the ground. I don't want to never see it again. But I will say, if you give me some options on some donut places, I would probably choose the random mom and pop over Shipley's Donuts any day. So, yeah, if I had to say, Shipley's, I would lose it. Krispy Kreme's, above and beyond, I would choose it.
Wow, okay. Fair enough.
Now, see, the bad thing about this is that Matt buys me Shipley's donuts every now and then. So now he is never going to buy me those again.
Oh, I didn't say that.
Well, now you're just going to do that to spite me.
No, not necessarily. I guess I'll have to make some modifications. But
you don't have to do anything. I should probably start buying you. Oh, boy.
Wow, yeah. So this is reminding me of episode, I think it was 4 or 5,
where we had lots of different tastes.
Yep.
Why, are you going to be the exact opposite on me?
Yep.
What? Okay,
I will
tell me.
absolutely always lose Krispy Kreme.
Whoa! Whoa!
I am just not impressed.
Impressed?
It's it reminds me, it's sweet, it's tasty, but it's like cotton candy. It is unsatisfying, is how I would describe it.
What?
I could eat a dozen of those and I still don't get full.
What?
And so
that's not a... Eating a dozen and not getting full, that's not a qualifier for if it tastes good or bad.
No, I mean, it tastes fine, but if I have a donut, I actually want to have a pastry. I don't want sugary air. I want something that is going to have...
Then have you had the original Shipley's donut? That's just a sugary piece of air.
Well, the place that I would choose, I don't think exists anymore. So
Okay.
I'm going to claim it, but at the end of the day, Shipley's would be the one I would choose out here. Like you, I like mom and pop shops, but
Yeah.
my favorite place, I think it was a chain for a time, and then it died out because of Krispy Kreme. Perhaps this is where some of my animosity comes from.
Thank you, Krispy Kreme.
Is there was a place in El Paso I grew up with called Southern Made Donuts.
Okay.
And it was a great flavor. It was filling. It was satisfying. I could eat 2 of those, and as a high school swimmer, I would be satisfied. 3, and I would be full.
Really?
And they just had a great variety. They had great flavoring, and it was a pastry. It was not sugary air. And so Southern Made would be the one I would always choose, but it's closed down. I don't know if any exist anymore. So in the meantime, out here in San Marcos, I like the Shipley's because I like the variety, I like the flavor, and I like that, again, they fill me. Krispy Kreme just leaves me unsatisfied.
Krispy Kreme, man.
So
I was so happy to find out when I moved to San Marcos that there was a Krispy Kreme.
I'm a little surprised because we live like 2 blocks away from a Krispy Kreme,
Exactly.
and I don't see them in the house all the time.
Well, it's because I knew that I need to not buy them all the time.
Well, fair
I'll
enough.
get them on special occasions. Don't get me wrong.
All right, so
Yes,
that's
okay.
enough about the donuts. Let's leave those on. And so, what you got next, boss?
Krispy Kreme's is best. Okay, next one is I would like to know. I've been debating on this one. Let's just start off with an easier one. Maybe I'll do that one last.
Fair enough.
Choose to lose it. Summer jobs. Summer
it.
is coming up.
Yep.
And kids of ours are going to be getting jobs. Other parents may be getting some other jobs. Things may be going on. Just curious. On the summer job feel, which is always that short 3 to 2 month long thing that you're going to be doing. Just what are you choosing to lose it on summer jobs?
Man, I love it. I would absolutely choose it because growing up, that was helping me prep for college. And I got to do a variety of jobs. In fact, I usually took about 4 to 6 summer jobs every summer from the age of 15 until I became a full-time youth pastor.
You would do 4 to 6 in one summer?
Yep.
How did that work out?
Lots of long days. Like I was a lifeguard, pool supervisor, swim coach, private swim instructor. I would babysit. I would take care of people's homes. I would do landscaping. I did just a variety of stuff. I could do whatever I could, and it led to very long hour days. I had 60 to 70 hour weeks more often than not. So I didn't have any summer vacation.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like it.
But I was able to make a lot of money, and it
Sure.
actually helped me a lot going through college because I would work so much in the summer that I would just get one part-time job during college, and that would help pay all the bills, rent, and all I needed because I was working so much in the summer. And I got to do a variety of things. It allowed me to try different jobs for a short season, and anyone can keep a job for 2 or 3 months. Go try it, see if you like it, and if you don't, well, then you don't have to come back next year. And you've gotten that experience, or you know you like it, and like you stick with it. Like, I mean, in El Paso, where I was well known as a swimmer and as a swim coach, I mean, I was charging $60 an hour for lessons.
Dang.
And I was having to tell people no, I had so much business from doing that.
Really?
So over the 12 years of coaching, you develop a clientele, and so it can be very prosperous if you start, again, young and you keep on going. So I love summer jobs. I recommend our youth take summer jobs, but with the caveat of you always need to make time for God. So I would always make sure that I would be available for a youth group when I was in youth group.
Yeah.
And then I would be, and outside of that, it was like, okay, I need to be at church. I need to be at youth group.
Yeah.
What about you? Choose it or lose it for summer jobs for you.
Well, we're good on this one. I choose summer jobs. I'm big on summer jobs. I was not big at the very beginning, but the main reason why I needed to get a job was my mom said, if you want a car, you need to get a job. So I said, I guess that means I need to get a job. So I applied to places. It ended up being Sonic was the place that I heard from. The funny thing was when I first applied, my mom told me, hey, you need to go and you need to go speak to the manager and like give him the handshake. Say, hey, I just applied. So I went to one of the Sonics that I applied to, and I said, hey, can I speak to the manager? He comes out. I shake his hand, say hi, I just applied, hope you see, and blah, blah, blah. And then a couple days later, I get a call saying, hey, would you like to come in? I end up finding out that the Sonic that I went and visited was not the one that I applied for. And the one that I got an interview from was one that I totally didn't think of. But that one ended up being a godsend because that was a Sonic that was right next to my church.
Oh, cool.
So that ended up being where I planted my roots over there. But I just thought that was funny. I met a guy and then I never saw him again. But no, I was big on summer jobs. At first, I didn't really like it, but I knew that I needed it in order to be able to have a car to go places. So I started doing it, and then eventually I started kind of liking it a lot because it kind of gave me that routine. It kind of gave me, hey, here's a goal that I need you to achieve. Here's how you achieve it. And then the way that Sonic works is if you didn't know, you tip your car hops. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of people know that. I mean, they don't really expect us to make a lot of money, but some of our paycheck consists of tips. So the way that I would do it is I'd have to do that job to the fullest of my ability so that I can hopefully get some better tips by the end of the night. So it always gave me something to strive for, something to push for, and something to be like, hey, I can do better because I can hopefully make some more money. So I was big on summer jobs, and I ended up working at Sonic, I think, for at least 4 summers. I worked at Sonic off and on again, and then sometimes in the middle of the school year as well. But you know, I think I put combined maybe about 3.5 years at Sonic.
Nice, okay.
From college and in high school and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm choosing summer jobs. It's a good start, and it's always good to do. Like I said, it gets you into that routine. It gives you a goal and the means of how to strive for it, and it just builds some purpose into you. Lets you kind of know, hey, can I do this? Can I not do this? Kind of a thing.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
All right, so it sounds like you're going to have a heavy question, so I'll breach the topic first.
It's not a heavy question.
Oh, okay.
I promise, it's not heavy.
Well, so I'm bringing up a controversial topic.
Okay.
And by controversial, we love the build up to these, but seriously, there are churches that fight over this. So I'm really interested in.
I'm putting on my boxing gloves.
Yeah, you're going to need it. So I'm really interested. It's inspired by a movie long, long ago you might have seen called All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Ah.
So there's a big debate on whether animals get to go to heaven.
Why is this a choose or lose?
Because I'm curious on, do you believe that all animals go to heaven? Choose it or lose it?
Man, Matt, I think this is the one theology that I don't really ever look into. This is only going off of my personal experience and personal biases.
Absolutely.
So,
well, isn't that all that we're doing this time?
Just there's no biblical context or knowledge or theology or teaching that is persuading me to where I'm at. With that being said, I don't think that animals go to heaven. I've never really kind of thought that. I think whenever my parents would tell me that when a pet would pass away, oh, they're in a better place now, I'd be like, okay. I think the hard thing for me, this may get a little dark, but I have seen one of my pets die. It wasn't like a car running over, but we had a litter of puppies from one of our Yorkies. But this litter was from a dog that was across the street. It wasn't planned or anything like that. And this dog was a lot bigger than she was. So the dogs that came out of her were fairly large, and she just wasn't. That wasn't really something that her body could really do. She ended up being okay. The mom, the Yorkie, was okay, but the litter was not really well because her body just wasn't made to really produce those kind of dogs. So I think there were 3 dogs that came out, and 2 of them we ended up giving away, and 1 of them we were going to keep. But then one day I came into the living room, and the dog was going through a seizure, and I saw it, and I was trying to help it out, and eventually it just stopped, and had to take care of it. So I'm kind of a little desensitized when it comes down to animals passing away. But yeah, I just don't really think I've really ever been in the belief that animals kind of go to heaven. I've never really seen anything in the Bible that says anything about animals going to heaven, so I've never really put that much thought into it. And if a dog goes up there, if a cat goes up there, cool. If it doesn't, that's okay. I'm not really attached to animals like a lot of other people are. I like them, and they'll bring me comfort, but it's not like a necessity that I need to have one, which is probably why I just lean towards I don't really think they go to heaven or not.
I find this really interesting because you and I have a very similar experience, but I'm going to choose it
Okay.
for the aspect of I think there's the scripture that says that all things that come from God return to God.
Okay.
And so that's where I take the scripture of I think that animals do get to go to heaven. Now, like you, I do love animals. They're very near and dear to me. If they don't, it's not going to break my heart. But like you, I had one of my pet rabbits die in my arms because of a heat stroke. And so like you, I had that experience. At the end of the day, I feel kind of like you. If they do, great. If not, okay. But I lean towards the choose it side. So find it very interesting because we really are on the same.
Yeah.
I think it's like 49-51, really, if you look at it, and it's just
Yeah.
like, and I just lean a little bit towards the yes, and you lean or choose it, and you lean a little bit towards the lose it. So man, it's funny how that happens, and that's what I know. One reason we have this choose it or lose it is to just see, and so
Yeah.
man, yeah, that's funny because everything you were going to say is basically what I would say. Just I
But
come
you
to
just
choose
ended
it.
up choosing it. Yeah. Yeah. But like I said, that's just off my own personal biases.
no,
and just
same
who I
here.
am.
No, I mean,
nothing
I-
special about it. So
Well, and same here. And again, at the end of the day, we can both agree. Okay, God's got it.
and
it's all
yes.
good.
At the end of the day, I'm never gonna know. Even when my grandmother passes away and she's a devout Christian, I will never truly know. Hey, did she make it to heaven or not?
Until you get there, yeah.
That's really God. That's His decision right then and there. We can all say that she's in a better place and she's still alive, and I hope that stays for a while. But man, there's really no concrete way of me ever really knowing until I get there.
So bring us home. Last question.
Last question is, I'll go with this one. Church fundraisers.
Okay.
Are you choosing it or losing it? I know that a lot of youth groups have to do fundraisers in order to raise some money. Sometimes for summer camp, sometimes for fall retreats. I know that sometimes churches have to raise money and not just do their yearly giving teaching. They also have to actually raise money on top of that for X amount of expenditures, whether that's for missionaries or a big trip or a church plant or something like that. I'm just curious, are you choosing it or losing it as a administrative person in a church on church fundraisers?
Oh man, so this one is at the end of the day, I'll give my answer of choosing it.
Okay.
Everything about me, I don't like it. It drives me nuts. It's lots of work. It's stuff that I could be doing to do other stuff to get other things done that I feel like I could be putting more attention to, where it could be, instead of doing this fundraiser, we can go do a worship night, or instead of doing this fundraiser, we can go out and evangelize. I mean, I feel like the time can be better spent, the money can be better, the money can be received in a better way, less work. But I've seen from too many times of doing it, of the value of teaming up with youth and letting them work for it, and being able to see how this has an impact on them.
Yeah.
Being able to see how when it comes through and all that hard work, because the main fundraisers we do here at this church is we do a garage sale and a bake sale usually throughout the year. And man, the youth coming together, working for it, putting in that work so that they can go to summer camp, so they can get scholarships for different youth events. At the end of the day, it pulls people in, it pulls youth in, it connects youth to other people that are not from this church or even people in this church. It gives them something to draw into. So at the end of the day, I choose it because I see the value and I think it is good. Mm-hmm. But personally, man, I wish I could lose it. It's just time-wise and tedious.
I get that. That's the administrative hat coming on. I'm just like, man, yeah. I'm so tired of working it.
Mm-hmm. How about you?
So I don't have an administrative hat. I just have I'm a cool volunteer that's here to help hat. And as that cool volunteer that's here to help, I love fundraisers. It's hey, here's, like you said, here's a chance to come together, to have some fun, to go out and sell some baked goods, or sell some items that people have brought to the church to sell at a garage sale, or various other fundraisers, to get together with volunteers from your church and with the youth, and just, hey, let's go at it. And all of the hard work that's going to go through that, there is a actual tangible reward that comes from it at the very end, of just like, hey, with all the hard work, with all the signage, with all the selling, with all the energy and have fun with it, that led people to give this much amount, which then leads us to be able to do these kind of events, or give this much to other people in missionaries, or to do this sort of a thing in our programs. I don't know. I think it's always fun whenever you get to do something pretty grand and then get to see the immediate reward that comes from it. That's always a cool thing. So I'm choosing church fundraisers.
Nice. So finishing it up with a high topic.
Okay.
We are going to be going through or discussing. I'm interested in your take on skydiving.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Skydiving, being able to go up into a plane, paying someone to take you up in a plane to then push you out. And then hopefully your parachute opens and allows you to come down safe and sound. So skydiving, because I want to clarify versus the fake skydiving where you go into a tunnel and they shoot a bunch of air up at you.
Cool.
Those are cool, but it's kind of like crab with a C and crab with a K. If you're gonna eat it, you might as well have the real thing.
I've never heard somebody use that analogy.
Well, I like cooking, so.
So I will choose it because I've done it. I'm a crazy person that has gone out and done it. I am also horribly afraid of heights. It's mostly that fear of the unknown, of where my next step is going. Like if I'm up in a tall spot and I'm looking up and I'm walking forward, that there's just this little vertigo that comes to me of just like, I don't know where my next foot is going to go. I could trip and fall. And so I was just... I was a little worried at first, but trust me, once I got into the plane and I was strapped on to another gentleman who was going to be jumping out with me, so it wasn't just me by myself. Once we got up there, it was too high to be afraid, basically. It started to just not really look like it was like, oh, looks more like a cool picture that I'm about to jump into, rather than that's hard pavement that I could hurt and die from. It's more just like, man, look at all this cool scenery. So yeah, I've gone up, I've done it. I was actually, my guy wanted me to be the first one to jump out of the plane. This is while I was doing it with my family, my mom, my dad, and my sister. So I was the first one to go out, and the story that I heard was my mom was the last, and she got to see all of my dad, me, and my sister all jump out of a plane and have no idea if they made it or not. So she was terrified as she saw one family member after another just go out of the plane, of just like, I sweet dear, hope to God they make it. I made it. I had really fun. Well, the cool thing about it is that was one here in San Marcos, and it went great. The hard thing about it was whenever I was falling, of course I wanted to look around as much as possible, but I didn't realize it was going to be so difficult to look around whenever you have all that wind coming at you. And for me, it was kind of hard to breathe because there was just so much coming after me. Was having a slight panic attack, but I was enjoying the moment. I don't know what it was, but I was having a hard time. I was having a hard time breathing, but it was great.
I mean, you could have described it as it took your breath away, and you could have left it at that, but no.
No. I was having a hard time breathing. But I was great. So I'm choosing it. I think skydiving is fun. And if you have a chance to do it, go for it. If you're too afraid, that's totally fine too. It doesn't really make my life any significantly better, but I do get to say that I jumped out of a perfectly good plane.
Good grief. I knew you were nuts. I too have a fear of heights, and it's for that reason I lose it. Because if I were to go skydiving, I would lose it. I'd probably lose my mind. I'd probably lose my lunch. I would probably lose all confidence in the world. I'm just not a height guy. I can't see why would you logically, why do you jump out of a perfectly good plane? It reminds me of a joke my grandfather told me that sums it all up. He said in World War II, the first week of training, they separate the men from the boys. And then the second week, they separate the men from the idiots. And then on the third week, the idiots jump. That's just, how I would describe that experience. I am not crazy enough to be able to do that.
So, if I'm doing the math correctly, are you calling me an idiot?
Possibly.
Okay, wow. So he doesn't even want to say it.
I just think he's insane. But
heard it here.
There you go. So I will lose it.
Okay, well, you gotta at least try it.
Yeah, my girlfriend keeps trying to tell me that too. And I still say no to her.
Well, yeah. But you can't say no to this face. I know the audience can't.
Where's my notebook?
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you guys so much for joining us with Matt and Jordan in the morning. Hope you had a good time being able to hear our hot takes, being able to hear some of our stories, and hopefully you're able to apply something from our quiet times. And so I look forward to next week, number 7, where that's God's first one of God's complete numbers.
Exactly.
So looking forward to that. You have anything for us on that, Jordan?
Just feel free to like the video, subscribe, because we're going to be doing some more. I know that this is also on the main Solid Rock Church YouTube page. Maybe at some point we'll get our own page. Who knows? But I think it's the only videos that are up there right now.
Currently,
so,
but that'll change.
That will change. But yes, feel free to keep coming. There's going to be some good content that's going to come up here. And remember, this isn't just for the people that go here at Solid Rock Church. This isn't just for the youth group that goes here. This could be something that you can easily share with coworkers, with friends, with people outside of the church. And that's what we want to do here. We want to make something that's just easily digestible for anybody from any background to come together and just learn a little bit about what's going on and what God can do in the middle of it.
So we hope to hear you or see you guys next time. Like Jordan said, leave a comment. And thanks again for joining us. Have a great and wonderful day, y'all.
Bye!